Hey guys, this is Learning TFT and I have a VOD review of Huanmie. Huanmie in Chinese means disillusionment, which is interesting because, and this is gold subscription portal, Ego Illusions, I believe, is rank 1 global, and that also kind of has this illusion, disillusionment connotation to it. Huanmie is a Chinese world champion. I believe he has the most worlds appearances for any Chinese player. So he's one of the all-time greats in TFT. I was actually talking with Marcel P, and he recommended that I check out some of Huanmie's VODs, and I came across this one, and I learned a lot in the process, and it's also just a very exciting, fun game to watch. So early game, he is prioritizing fortune units, holding duelists, and he's also playing towards, he was holding the RE towards a faded line. And right here, he has sniper as a possibility, so he's scouting. And he most likely, prize fighter isn't great with fortune, so instead he gets sleight of hand, which is great for tempoing. And so it looks like he's going to play this hybrid duelist with a frontline board to just try to tempo his early game. One thing we'll see later is that Huanmie is great at using fortune in the mid game, trying to tempo early, and then using fortune in the mid game to convert health into extra resources. And just generally in the early game, one thing, if you notice just there, he pre-leveled at 2-1 to get level 5 to increase shop odds for 2 and 3 costs. Hopefully he can hit more Tristanas. But this gameplay is just extremely aggressive, which tends to work best with duelists, since duelists just have a really strong early game. He hits the volley and Yasuo shock, which gives him 4 duelists. And I was surprised here that he kept the Shen in over the Malphite. I guess he thinks that the Volibear is a better item holder for the TG. And then it seems like Shen is just a very strong standalone unit. It's a traitless Shen. That's one thing when I was talking with Marcel P about, is a lot of these top players just know what are the best units at each cost tier that can be just good, strong unit quality, naked, no traits. So another example is Lee Sin has a 4 cost. You could just throw a naked Lee Sin in, and he gives you great extra tank stats, DPS. He mana reaves and stuns, so just great all-around unit. And in this case, he's using Shen in that manner as well. Another thing I've noticed when I've watched Huanmie's VODs is he's really big on positioning his frontline tank on that upper right or upper left slot, which is really good in the mirror matchup against other duelist players, because Qiyana wants to be able to flank and be able to, with her ult, hit 3 units across your front line all at once. So being able to stop that by placing that strong tank in a corner, front left or front right corner, just really decreases Qiyana's DPS. Again, here we have a naked Annie that is just a strong overall unit. And that's one area that I'm looking to improve my gameplay on, is throw in that naked Shen, because he has, his ult has the, I forget if it's damage reduction, but just decreases damage significantly for a period of time. And that naked Annie, that naked Lee Sin are all great. So now we have Qiyana. Like, look how cheap this board is. And he goes aggressively on 3-1 to level 6. Throws in Fortune, which is almost like insurance. If he loses, then he can start potentially lose streaking. But most likely he's strong enough that he's just going to win. But the cost effectiveness of his board is just really crazy. And that's the power of early duelists. So I was really surprised by this Tiniest Titans selection. Like, you're win streaking. Wouldn't you want to pick a combat augment that lets you win streak more? And this is what I'm referring to when he is great at streaking early to generate econ, be able to preserve HP. And then the moment he loses, he can then switch into a fortune loss streak mode since he has so much HP preserved. And so he can keep win streaking and continuing to collect an extra 4 gold from streaking, 3 for the win streak, 1 for the win. Or once he loses, he doesn't need to play the stage 4, 4-1, 4-2, 4 costs roll down lottery. He can just go fast 9. And we'll actually see later, I was really surprised that he can convert into a fast 10 later, as you'll see. And so much of that is because of the gold generated from stage 2, stage 3 streak value, plus the extra resources generated from fortune in stage 4, as we'll see, and the gold from Tiniest Titan. So Huanmie is just using all the resources available to him to extract maximum value at each stage of the game. You can see here that he throws in the Alloon, gets even more shielding and tankiness for his team. So he's just extremely flexible in putting together strongest board, especially since this Kiana 2 does not have any healing. So any extra shielding, healing, durability that you can add to him, the stronger your team gets. So right here, he actually has 5 fortune available to him. And with Tiniest Titans, he can heal, I believe it's 2 per turn for Tiniest Titan and 2 per turn for 5 fortune. So in stage 4, you're taking 8 damage from the stage as base stage damage. And then against, let's say, a level 7, 8 board, you might be taking 5 unit losses, 6 unit losses, depending on how strong of a board you can put together. So let's say you take a 6 unit loss plus 8 for the stage is 14, minus 4 for the healing, player healing, and you're only taking 10 damage per round in stage 4 once he decides to switch to a lose streak, which he is doing now since he lost the last round. And so really cool thing here is he can keep the Kiana 2. He's really good at measuring, and this is where I'm still looking to improve, scouting his opponents and or even just assuming that he's gonna be weak enough that he can have a 3-item Kiana without slamming the TG, still lose the battle, but kill a bunch of units. Although in this case, I think he still took a 7-unit loss, but... And this is where I was like, what is he doing? I thought he was playing a duelist board, but he takes Stand United. And again, this goes to the foresight. He's purely playing around duelist early, mid-game, with the full intent of going fast 9 and possibly even fast 10. The bruiser items, bruiser melee warrior items on Kiana will eventually go on either Lee Sin or ideally Wukong in the late game. You have a TG, which is great on any 5-cost 2-star. And he has a very good setup right now with a ton of gold to be able to go 9. And he doesn't have to worry too much like you do in stage 2 or 3 for someone griefing you when you play Fortune, because you know everyone's trying to preserve HP right now. And most of the lobby has done their roll down. They're at very little gold. You see everybody that's scouted. I think there was only 1 player in the lobby that had 50 gold to collect interest. Might be the streaker. Or probably not actually. And here off the carousel, he's just looking for 5 costs if he can get it. But otherwise, what's he going to take? So looking at the sword, make a DB, which eventually will go on probably Aurelia. And here he pushes his luck. So now he's just holding on to the Dragon Lords on the bench. He has the Janna. He has the Lee Sin already on his board. And holding the strong 4-cost tanks. You have Annie, Galio, Nautilus, Ornn. And you're basically on the level 9 roll down. You're going to be looking for just a strong frontline, 4-cost frontline. And ideally, you can hit 5-cost backline. So you have the DB set up for Aurelia later. And you want to move the bruiser items over to a Lee Sin or a Wukong. But he has so much health, 70 health at 4/6. And he takes a 4-unit loss here. So 8 plus 4 is 12. And he heals 4. So he only takes 8 damage. That's like a stage 2 3-unit loss, 4-unit loss. So he has a great setup right now. He's now at level 9. Remember, this is gold subscription. So it helps that he has so many extra resources from the portal. He gets the Aurelia. And look, he's not even rolling. I was expecting a roll down here to at least stabilize a bit and not take horrible losses. He's taking a 5-unit loss, which again isn't too bad. And he's going straight 10. Cashes out. Gets a spatula, which is great for the Stand United value. And this is where he begins his transition. So one thing that Marcel P taught me, he was looking at a lot of Setsuko's Fortune Cash Out roll downs. And the first step you do is you sell all of your shitter units. You get rid of everybody who's basically not a Dragon Lord, not a 4 or 5 cost. And you just click gold units on your roll down. And even for your supporting units, what Setsuko does is he doesn't even attempt to 2-star them, because then you might end up with pairs of, let's say, a Janna on your bench, and then you have to go through the APM of selling them to buy your 5 costs. So it's just simpler to just ignore your supporting low-cost units. Like that Riven is a Riven 1 on the board, the Janna is a Janna 1 on the board, and he even sells the Riven here. So here he's looking for anti-heal on his Aurelia, gets the red buff. And he's using Hui to print extra 5 costs. He hits the Udyr and just moves the items over. So he's playing extremely flexible around the 4 and 5 costs to just create a really strong front line. Your damage is still a little bit lacking because you have an Aurelia 1 in the backline, a Hui 2 and a Azir 2, but they're both naked as far as items go. At this point, he has 2, maybe 3 lives left, and this is where he's deciding he can go for an Azir 3. So again, really flexible gameplay around moving items around onto his 2 stars. Unfortunately, the Lee Sin was targeted down early, and he has maybe 1 life left since stage 6, or stage 6, yeah. He takes 12 damage from the base stage damage. So if you take a 6-unit loss, he's dead. So he does have 2 Azir 2s. He just needs 1 more round to print 1 more Azir on his bench. He's looking for 2 more Azirs. There's 1. His APN is insane. So he just needs one more Azir here. He does unfortunately look like he takes a loss, but it's exactly a 4-unit loss, so he has just a little bit of life. And he opens cells to try to hit the Azir 3. And then he sells his board. What a beast. It like wouldn't have even crossed my mind to go for Azir 3 like this, and he still has 67 gold. And Azir 3 wipes the board. It's just insane play. And then now he's just gonna click all the gold units and create an audience to watch his Azir 3 wipe the board. So just to summarize this game, my takeaways from the game. Early, he used Duelists to tempo, preserve HP, generate econ by win streaking. He pre-leveled on 2-1 to go level 5 on 2-2, which let him hit an early Volibear, I believe, by 2-5, I want to say. So you could get 4 Duelists in. With that TG, Volley in stage 2 is extremely strong because of his healing and stun. It's just extremely hard for anyone to take him down. He then got the early Annie, and by 3-2, he decided that he wanted to go for a 5 fortunes end of stage 3, early stage 4 play, which is why he took Tiniest Titans on 3-2. And then on 4-2, when he was in the midst of his 5 fortune loss streak, he picked Stand United. And with the gold subscription, he knew that he had plenty of gold. And so this is the end of the game. He knew he had plenty of gold to go fast 10. And that's when he did his roll down to hit Azir 3. So I hope you learned something from this game. I know I did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.